Morning, everybody. What up, YouTube Live? This is yours truly, Rama Screen, covering movies, TV, and entertainment. um, Today is Thursday morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. What is it? May 23rd. So, of course, it's time for another review of another episode of Cloak and Dagger. Again, the reason why I'm doing this in the morning is because in the evening, whenever Cloak and Dagger airs, I usually find myself at a press screening. So this evening, I have a couple of press screenings: the Pavarotti documentary and Late Night movie. Um, First off, I want to thank Marvel Television and Freeform for granting me the screener to this latest episode, which airs tonight 8 p.m. Pacific and Eastern on Freeform. The channel is Freeform. So I love getting to watch this. I love getting to watch these episodes early because I love this show. So heads up, this video contains spoilers. This review is mainly for those of you, my fellow Cloak and Dagger fans, who have also been caught up with the show. So again, heads up, spoiler alert. Um, so what happened in last week's episode? We saw the arcade video game sequence, which was cool. And then, of course, Tandy managed to bring back Tyrone with the help of Evita. So now Evita in this episode kind of is off the picture. This episode is mainly focusing on Tandy, Tyrone, and Andre and Mayhem. Those are the prominent players in this episode. Now, this episode 9, right? Second to last, because next week is the season finale. Episode 9 today reveals the origin of Andre and his powers, the backstory, which to me, sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if I end up sneezing during this the video. Which to me, uh, I find it surprising because, wow, they saved his origin story for episode 9. I would think that they would cover or tackle this part in episode 7 at the least. I was hoping episode 9 and episode 10 would be just the battle, the conflict between Tandy Tyrone versus Andre, but they saved it for episode 9. It's like, wow. Now, it's interesting, some of the creative choices that the director, I believe her name is Ami Khan. I apologize if I mispronounce that name. Um, the way she, uh, for the sequences in which Andre experiences his headaches, because that's the thing from the backstory. We see that his migraines keep bugging him and keep interrupting his performance. And there's this objective that he wants to achieve called the blue note. Like, oh my God, if I reach the blue note, then I will become a god. But these migraines keep interrupting him. He could never reach the blue note because every time he tries or attempts to do so, the migraines kick in and ruins it for him. And it's interesting how the director, whenever the migraines happened, like for example, in the first time that it happens in this episode, the camera looks at Andre, as he falls down on the stage from his headache. But the camera is positioned in front of what appears to be a light bulb, like really close light bulb to the camera. So it creates that effect of it creates that effect that feels like it's blinding you, or not necessarily blinding, but it's like, oh, it's like too much light here. It's like if it's like it's as if I put the spotlight right here, like this, right in front of me, like this, right directly at my face. So um, that's the trick, or some of the method, not necessarily trick, that this episode uses, um, so that you, the audience, could get a sense of the pain that Andre feels as he goes through his headaches, which I find, this method really, really cool. Very simple, very simplistic, but it's effective. Uh, so we see Andre about to jump from the bridge. He loses hope because he couldn't reach the blue note, and guess what? The bridge happens to be located on the pier nearby the explosion, the Roxxon oil rig explosion. Now, so as he's mentioned in previous episodes, that's how he got his power, right? Just like Tyrone and Tandy when they were kids, the explosions did something to them, and it gave them these abilities. Excuse me. I've been I've been sick as a dog this past couple of days. I apologize. I didn't mean to sneeze in front of the camera. So when that happens in this episode, I crack up a little bit, to be honest with you, because if you are fans of the Flash series, I'm a fan of the Flash. It just had its season finale recently. We're like, that's like the particle accelerator causing everybody to have powers. I think that's what they call it. The particle accelerator exploded, right? And in Central City, and then it causes everybody to become meta humans. In this case, it's the oil rig explosion. Boom! Anybody's close or within that range would end up having some sort of ability. So afterwards, he wakes up in this hospital, and that's where he meets Leah, the nurse. And this episode also explores Leah's backstory, a little bit about Leah, and how Andre persuades Leah to leave her nursing life to work for him. And the thing that draws Leah to Andre happens to be that both of them love music. Andre loves music a little bit more because he wants to be a god by reaching the blue note. But Leah, in the backstory, Leah comes from the background of a musician too when she was a kid. And so the life of medicine is never really her dream. And so when Andre says, "Hey, Lola, come with me. I'll take care of you," that is a very enticing offer. Not necessarily because I think Leah agrees fully with the whole blue note or eventual human trafficking, but the idea of leaving the life that you don't want, that's tempting, and that's a big solid motivator enough. Like if you work in a job that you hate, and then somebody comes and say, "Hey, you know work with me, work for me, better pay, you don't have to do this shitty stuff anymore, day in the office or stuck in the cubicle." You may not think much of the offer or what that guy is offering you, but like, oh my god, I can leave this shithole. Yeah, I guess I'll go with you. And so I think that's the impression I get. I think that's more of Leah's motivation. And and as you know from last week's episode, Andre basically betrayed Leah and left her in the ditch. So it goes to show Andre as the villain. If he has his migraines, he will take advantage or drain your despair, because that's his power. He drains people's despair and he feeds off them. And in this case, he leaves Leah to the curb. And so after he uses you, he abandons you. So that's the extent of his villainy. Um, this episode also has a few interesting moments. For example, Tyrone calls his mom, and his mom tries to dance around answering Tyrone's question about Connor. Obviously, the mom already killed Connor, so I was like, ooh. But that part is not dealt with in this episode. That part is dealt with hopefully in next week's episode. So uh it's only about like, hey, where's Connor? It's like, hey, Connor's fine. Connor's, giving us what giving us the information and stuff like that, and that's it. The other interesting moment that I want to note is Tyrone keeps tabs. Not this. Well, keeps tabs. Some sounds horrible. Like he wants to check in on the kid that remember that the kid that has a gun pointing at Tyrone and his mom in that abandoned house, but then to call the gangsters like, hey, they're here, but then the kid kind of let him go. So Tyrone feels grateful because the kid, you know, uh, instead of turning them in to the gangsters, it's like that he let him go. So he wants to make sure that the kid is safe, and he hangs out with him just for a few moments. And in this scene, I kid you not, Luke Cage is mentioned. There's this newspaper of Luke Cage on it, and the kid can't read, so Tyrone reads the headline to the kid, and they have this conversation about what it means to be a good guy, to be a hero, and the kid feels like, oh, I'm shitty. You know what I do on a daily basis. Like I can't be like Luke Cage. And Tyrone says something very profound. He said, "Hey, you know what I think? I think if Luke Cage is not bulletproof, he would still be in the mix. If Luke Cage wasn't bulletproof, he would still be in the mix. He would still kind of do his part, whatever he can, to help his community, to help his fellow brother man. That's basically what Tyrone is pointing out, and that's deep, man. That's deep. I think it's a good advice for that moment when the kid feels purposeless. The kid feels like, oh, this is all I'm ever good at. Slinging dope, um, being a errand boy for the drug lords or whatnot. It's like this is it. This is my life, and Thanos like, no, no, man, no. I think you don't, because he's like, oh, if only I was Luke Cage, if only I was bulletproof, like, but I'm not a hero. And Tyrus like, hey, you know what? Even if Luke Cage wasn't bulletproof, or if he was not a superhero, he would still be in the mix. He would still do his part. Uh, it's like, hey, don't sell yourself short, man. Don't discount yourself. You can be better than this. So that's a good advice for that good moment. Um, I, it's a little detour, or it deviates from the overarching arc a little bit, but I think it goes to point out that Tyrone is this person who has the capability to mentor, to bestow wisdom on uh it's good to point out that Tyrone feels that responsibility. That it's not like, oh, yeah, thanks for letting us go, man, and then that's it. That it's like, I don't want to care about the kid anymore. So this scene, even though it takes us away a little bit from the overarching arc of trying to battle Andre, this scene speaks about Tyrone, the character. So I like it. I really like it. It's a very interesting, nicely done, heartfelt scene, and it name drops Luke Cage. I mean, come on, man. We kind of miss Luke Cage, right? I can't believe Netflix canceled it after only 2 seasons. So seeing Luke Cage mentioned, even for just a second, it warms my heart because I'm a big fan of the show. Uh, there is one criticism that I have about this show, and I'm going to leave that for last. But I want to talk a bit about Mayhem and Tandy. That's the other aspect in this episode. Mayhem and Tandy. Uh, they find Leah. Turns out Leah is still breathing. But here's what's funny: Leah is humming, and Mayhem tells Tandy in this episode that the girls who are abducted, they just up and go from um, the police office. They just up and go. They're gone. And Mayhem says, "You know what's weird? They also start humming. It's like it's as if they're in some kind of a uniformity, and they're going somewhere. We don't know where they are now." And they find Leah, and they bring Leah to this to the I guess you could say central command, the church. And Tyrone and Tandy enter Leah. I know that sounds sexual innuendo. I apologize, but enter the inner force of Leah and the memory. Of course, Cloak or Tyrone has that ability, and in this memory, they see Leah and Andre interacting, and they see a bit of Leah's backstory when Leah's younger, and you would think that Tandy and Tyrone could just strolling there, like, oh, Andre and Leah can't see us. But Andre catches them and it's like, yeah, Tandy, what are you planning to do? So it's like it's Leah's memory, but Andre is very aware. And that kind of like, wow, when he turns and like interacts with Tandy and Tyrone, I was like, whoa, because I didn't expect that. I was like, I thought it was one of those scenes where everybody's memories, and then Tyrone and Teddy could just like stroll around and stroll through and talk to each other without getting uh, interrupted by anybody in that memory. So in this memory, Andre reveals his big plan to Tyrone and Tandy. I will become a god. I will drain their despair. I will, collect them all, and that leads to the final scene of this episode where all the women are gathered in this place and they're humming, and then Andre's like playing the trumpet, and it seems like he reaches the blue note, but I might be wrong. But because Tandy and Tyrone interrupt him, but I think before that happens, he does reach the blue note. I want to say that. Um, So now, if he does reach the blue note, then that means he has become more powerful than ever before, which makes him more formidable, for even more challenging as a foe, uh, harder to defeat, which makes episode 10 even more curiouser, right? That was like, oh my god, now he feels like a god, and how on earth is Tandy and Tyrone? How on earth are Tandy and Tyrone going to defeat a god? Uh, that's gonna be an uphill climb. uh, my criticism about this show, not this show. I'm sorry, this episode, the Blue Note. I find it annoying that Tyrone keeps asking Tandy, "Hey, where are we? What are we gonna do? What are you gonna do, Tandy? How are you feeling? Are you sure you want to do this?" Oh my god! Oh my god! Like every 2 seconds or so, it's like Tyrone keeps asking Tandy, like it's like it's like a kid in the back seat of the car. You're driving it. You're a dad, and your kid would be like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" It's annoying, man. I don't know why the writers like having Tyrone ask all these questions like he's a 5-year-old who you just like sometimes even if you don't know where you are or what Tandy's gonna do or what you're gonna do or what's gonna happen, like you don't have to keep blurting it out. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do with that? Oh, what's happening there? Like, dude, we the audience don't need a guy asking the question like that throughout the whole episode, we can see what's happening in front of us. Sometimes it helps, like, oh, where are they? And then Tyro's like, oh, where are we? Like, kind of represents or guides the audience. But if it happens way too often, it is annoying, irritating, and it makes Tyrone annoying. Um, so I don't get why in this episode, in previous episodes, he did that too, but not as frequently. So in this episode, he just like keeps like bugging everybody around him. He keeps bugging Tandy, and he's bugging me. So I'm not sure what's up with the writing there, and I feel bad for freaking Aubrey Joseph for having had to do that. So that's my only big criticism, and the other criticism also is that for the big chunk of this episode, it really doesn't know what to do with Mayhem. Uh, I get that Mayhem is eventually supposed to be like the bad guy. So in this episode, we get teased about the conflict. We see conflict between Mayhem and Tandy over whether or not to kill Leah. Uh, but prior to that conflict, it's just Mayhem pretty much on the sideline, benched, you know, and and all of a sudden she becomes adamant about killing Leah. I was like, dude, you could go and kill other bad guys. Like, she's like, oh no, I got to take care of this also. I don't know. I just feel like the episode really doesn't know how to build up to uh the conflict between Tandy and Tyrone versus Mayhem. It's like they're like, oh, you know what? It's episode 9. I guess we gotta tease it for season 3 to suggest to the fans that after we beat Andre, that Mayhem will be the big villain. I guess now is as good a time as any to make Mayhem fight Tandy. I feel like that's the impression I get. Um, so that's my other criticism, at least. Uh, lastly, I don't know if this season. I'm sorry. I don't know if this show has been renewed for third season. I haven't heard the news yet. Let me know if you have, because I want this show to be renewed for season 3. But if it doesn't get renewed again by Freeform for season 3, I'd say that or at least I hope that either Hulu or Disney Plus pick it up. Hulu, as you know, is coming up with a couple of more new Marvel shows. Uh, in addition to what they already have, which is Runaways. Hulu announced a couple of more new Marvel television shows, and Disney Plus has a ton, obviously. Uh, so Freeform only has Cloak and Dagger as far as Marvel's concerned. So it's like very alone or separate from the other channels that have more Marvel shows. So if Freeform decides, like, you know what, it's not worth going through another season, or producing this another season of Cloak and Dagger, I hope Hulu, either Hulu or Disney, can pick it up, so that Hulu, ABC, and Freeform. I'm sorry, Hulu, ABC, and Disney Plus could be the main hubs for anything Marvel television related. So that's my final thought. We'll see, but if it gets renewed for season 3, I'm happy. so So thank you so much for tuning in on this live review, and for being understanding of my sickness. I am really ill right now. Please wish me well. Hopefully, I get speedy recovery. I am sick as a dog, but thank you for at least watching this review of Cloak and Dagger season 2, episode 9, titled Blue Note, which airs tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific and Eastern on Freeform. Go watch it tonight, okay? Enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/Rama Screen. Yeah, I love the show, Cloak and Dagger.